Greetings, my friends. Thank you for watching this video, and if you would be so kind, please subscribe if you like what you see. Help our channel to keep growing and keep fighting the war to save pop culture. Together, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. Enjoy, and thanks. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I am here with some glad tidings regarding the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5. Now, as many of you are no doubt aware, I've been lukewarm and ice-cold about this show up till now. I thought it was a disappointment on many levels. This series made the mistake of having a series of flashbacks showing how Empire Strikes Back evil Boba Fett became all-around swell guy Mandalorian Boba Fett, and how did he make that transition? Instantly. From the moment he climbs out of the Sarlacc pit, he's completely transformed from a bounty hunter with a penchant for disintegrations to a noble older Aussie who aspires to lead a criminal empire on Tatooine with honor and respect. This is a very silly idea, as people do not fundamentally change on a dime. Longtime Star Wars fans loved the mystique of Boba Fett, the look, the menace, the mystery. All those things are gone from Boba, all except the look. It has seemed to me all this time that Boba Fett is nowhere to be seen in his own show. And now with Chapter 5, we get hands down the very best chapter of Book of Boba Fett yet, and Boba Fett isn't in it.
Oh, the irony! I watched this with you, dude, and I have to say, this was a great episode! The best yet!
It was, Harvey. Holy crap! Just when you start to wonder if Jon Favreau has lost his touch, he comes back with an episode that was damn near perfect from start to finish. Now, I'm going to be careful to avoid spoilers here, but last week at the end of the episode, you heard them say they were going to recruit some muscle, and they played the Mandalorian theme, which was a dead giveaway that the Mandalorian was going to be seen in this episode. That's the only spoiler I will give in this review, and it can't be helped because you see, the best episode of Book of Boba Fett is really an episode of The Mandalorian. And I tell you what, it's one of the best damn episodes of The Mandalorian yet.
Seeing The Mandalorian again was awesome. Din Djarin didn't miss a step after all this time. In fact, not to give away any spoilers, the opening of the show is maybe the best opening of any Disney Plus show yet.
Holy shit, man, that fight, it was off the charts. I won't give any spoilers about the fight, except to say that, remember when I was complaining that Disney won't show us even a hint of violence, not even a severed arm like we saw in the original Star Wars? Well, let me just say, this fight was totally badass, and we see something even more badass than a severed arm. I can tell you that with this opening scene, Disney Star Wars finally had its balls drop. Today, Disney Star Wars became a man, damn it. Other than the fight with Moff Gideon in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, this is the best scene The Mandalorian has been in my opinion. It's like Jon Favreau heard me bitching and said, oh yeah? Well, get a load of this, Doomcock. It was like in the horrible HBO version of Westworld, where Maeve dials up all her attributes to become a superwoman. Somehow Jon Favreau turned shit on this show up to 11 across the board. I had to kind of blink and slap myself saying, whoa, what the fuck? How did this show get so good all of a sudden?
I know, right? No spoilers, but the environment where this episode starts out is one of the best environments ever seen in Star Wars. We get the Mandalorian in action. We get to see a new part of the Star Wars universe, something really cool we've never seen before. We get some excellent drama with Din Djarin personally. I mean, this episode definitely advances his storyline. Shit, this wasn't the Book of Boba Fett. This was an episode of The Mandalorian, and one of the best yet.
There is a problem with this episode, however, and that problem is this. Its excellence only serves to highlight just how mediocre and at times flat out bad the Book of Boba Fett has been. Seeing the Mandalorian in action again reminds us that Din Djarin is everything that Boba Fett was supposed to be. Din Djarin is a man of few words. He is the outer space equivalent of Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name. While he does have a name, he is more properly the man with no face. In both cases, his identity is a cipher. Both are men who are enigmas. They keep their feelings close to their vests. They blow in on the wind and leave in a trail of blood. They are taciturn, silent, and thus they are endlessly fascinating to watch. In the original Star Wars trilogy, Boba Fett had only a handful of lines. He became a mythic figure precisely because he was so mysterious, and fans could project all sorts of things onto him. Din Djarin is all these things, and sadly, Boba Fett, as currently executed, is not. Boba Fett mostly doesn't wear his helmet. He's talkative, he's a nice guy. We see him lying around in the back of the tank a lot. He lets people talk all kinds of smack to him, and he doesn't blink, he doesn't move, he doesn't exact retribution. It's almost like Din Djarin took Boba Fett's soul, and I think that's ultimately why, thus far, Book of Boba Fett hasn't worked until Chapter 5, when Boba Fett wasn't even in the show. And we got to see the spirit of Boba Fett in the form of the Mandalorian. It was stark, man. It blew my mind, frankly, to see this, and it drove these points home. So how did this come to be? Essentially, Boba Fett was robbed by Favreau and Filoni. I think this was largely a business decision. When Jon Favreau created The Mandalorian, he basically wanted to do a show about Boba Fett, but there already was a Boba Fett movie in the works. So he just created this other character that acts more or less like Boba Fett, a hardened, silent, no-nonsense bounty hunter that blows in with the wind and leaves with his prisoner warm or cold.
Watching this episode was really weird, man. Weird in a good way. It's like all of a sudden the lights went on again in this universe. I remembered what it was like to be riveted and not bored. Start to finish, I was entertained, and I realized how much I missed The Mandalorian and what a slog chapters 1 through 4 of the Book of Boba Fett have been.
Basically, I think this show would have been better without the flashbacks. If we didn't actually see how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit, how he spent time with the Sand People, we could have simply surmised that time had changed him. We would have filled in the blanks in our minds and imaginations and said, well, yeah, Boba Fett is different now, probably went through a bunch of shit that changed him. But showing us the change, and then having the change be so abrupt, is a big problem. As executed, the transformation of Boba Fett from cutthroat to hero is unconvincing. And now we have Chapter 5, which is literally an episode of The Mandalorian, and the difference is jarring. It's like a slap in the face that wakes us from the slumber induced by Chapters 1 through 4 and reminds us just how good Star Wars can be. It reminds us that Jon Favreau knows what he's doing, and I think it maybe explains a bit why the Book of Boba Fett is mediocre. It's because Favreau's heart is with The Mandalorian. That's the show he's passionate about. Book of Boba Fett just feels kind of perfunctory. Like, hey, we have this movie script about Boba Fett we want to recycle into a series. Pad it out with some flashbacks and let's monetize this abandoned script, okay, John? And he was like, okay, whatever. I'll crank out some scripts and turn it over to Robert Rodriguez. It'll be okay. And indeed, a lot of fans love the Book of Boba Fett just as it is, and I salute them. God bless them. I'm happy when any of my Star Wars brothers and sisters can just enjoy a show. But there are a lot of fans out here who really have been disappointed by Book of Boba Fett, and it is for them that I'm trying to understand why Chapter 5 was so full of life and excitement. Indisputably the best episode of Book of Boba Fett yet. And it didn't even have Boba Fett in it. When the very best episode of your show doesn't have the star appearing in it, that would seem to suggest there's a problem at the root of the show.
It was like night and day, man. It was like shit. All of a sudden, someone flipped a switch and the show kicked all kinds of ass.
Din Djarin, he is the way. It's unfair that he's more Boba Fett than Boba Fett, but that's the hand Jon Favreau was handed, and that's the hand he's playing. His heart is clearly with The Mandalorian, and I can't help but wish that he had turned the project over to someone else on staff who really wanted to do the show. Because right now, the best thing about the Book of Boba Fett is that it will soon end. And that means we can get more of the Mandalorian, which is where Favreau and Filoni really shine. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha